and welcome to Yuri Studio, where I answer questions I get online and at Yuri panels about the Yuri genre. I'm Erica Friedman, founder of YuriCon and Okazu. Today's question comes from my Okazu Patreon again, where some of my patrons asked me to do a deep dive on specific anime series. I have a degree in comparative literature. Doing compare and contrast type work is my go-to way of handling anything, so I decided to look for a common theme, and I came up with this series of looking at gateway Yuri anime series. Why anime? Because as popular as manga is, whenever an anime launches, it gets way more of an audience in a world where people are trained from practically birth to stare at screens. Some of the series we're talking about here also were popular manga or light novels, or had popular manga or light novels launched because of the anime, but we're talking about the anime series that were game changers for Yuri fandom. I'll be taking this in three chunks: the 1990s, the 2000s, and the 2010 to 20s. My perspective for what constitutes a game changer is super biased, of course, but mostly I'm looking back at 20 years of running Yuri communities and which series brought a lot of new people in to the fandom over those years. Because the focus of this video is to look at anime that were game changers for fandom at large, I might skip the anime that brought you personally into fandom. If Yamibo changed your life, I'm not dissing you or it just wasn't the era-defining kind of works I'm looking at. And because I'm looking at era-defining series, I'm skipping popular series that did move the needle. Yes, Yuri Yuri sold really well in Japan, but it didn't change the shape of Yuri fandom. There have been tons of series fandom got caught up in. My Hime, Read or Die, Stelvia, Sakura Trick, absolutely. The current body of fandom at the time loved these, but again, they didn't bring new folks into the fandom so much as give those of us already there something to rave about, both positively and negatively. Last disclaimer, I'm also overlooking amazing series that never quite grabbed hold of Yuri fandom like Dear Brother or Devilman Lady, which, frankly, are two of the greatest anime ever made and so very, very gay, it's a damn shame Yuri fandom just keeps kind of not really loving them to distraction, which they totally deserve. But they end up being the kind of anime that so much of fandom says, I haven't watched that one, is it good? And my heart breaks, and yes, they're both so amazing, you should definitely watch them. Maybe I'll do a video about why you should watch them. So all that said, let's start with part one of our look at gateway Yuri anime series. Spoiler alert, I guess. The anime based on Riyoko Ikeda's historical epic aired from 1979 to 1980 in a world where you still had to stand up and walk across the room to change the TV station, at least in my house. Rose of Versailles is simultaneously historically accurate in many places and always deeply, powerfully emotional and personal. There's a lot for an audience to hang on to, which is why, now that Diskotek has re-released it, you should totally get it. And if you've never seen it before, keep Wikipedia open. While you're watching, you'll need it. Obviously, the Rose of Versailles didn't affect Yuri fandom because there really wasn't any such thing at the time. The internet was just a bunch of research centers connected by phone lines. But what this anime did do was plant a kernel of non-binary dress and behavior in the hearts of little girls everywhere who saw it. Asuka is beautiful, honorable, princely, And she's a woman with a woman's heart and body. This theme has been with us since the beginning in Yuri fandom, and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. Every time we get a new release of Lady Oscar, a new wave of fandom comes into Yuri, sweeping into the room, capes on shoulders, swords on hip, eyes ablaze with determination. Here's a little tidbit you might not know. Asagiri Priest, one of the Night Sabers of Bubblegum Crisis, was the first character ever voted Best Yuri Anime Character in a Yuricon poll, and for the next decade, I get an email or two a year from someone who found that enraging. Sorry guys, not my call. It was the people's decision. While other chunks of Bubblegum Crisis fandom were screaming about Konnichiwa Hurricane, and parenthetically, I'm going to die on the hill of insisting the music for the Tokyo 24 series was vastly superior, the OP you know kicks even now. Yuri fans were parsing the relationship between Priest and Sylvie frame by frame, which we did on a VCR, I want to point out. Priest brought us seinen action Yuri fandom and gave us the hunky woman on a bike riding up, saving the innocent, and riding away badass and lonely. Xena wasn't for another decade, and lesbians need our sad, tortured butches to admire and desire. So as we all started to power up our modems for the first time and hit up Gopher to find a chat or something to talk about the Japanimation we rented on VHS, Priest was already our boom. Thank God for the internet. Yeah, so obviously Sailor Moon was a huge game changer. No one who was an anime fan in the 1990s didn't know 3 anime: Ranma 1/2, Dragon Ball Z, and Sailor Moon. I bet Ranma 1/2 still has more fanfics written about it than any other anime out there. Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon have Cartoon Network to thank for becoming the game changers they were for general American fandom. But I'll let you in on a secret. Yuri fandom knew about Sailor Moon before it even got here. We were trading nth generation VHS tapes and arguing with folks online about our favorite Sachi and that no, Tenno Haruka was not really a man, not even in another life. But that was just for fun and goofs, because when Sailors Uranus and Neptune appeared on screen, we all could see that everything had changed. This was a breakthrough era on a lot of fronts. Anime had its first real push into American popular culture. Raise your hand if you suddenly discovered how cool Hot Topics was in the late 1990s. And Yuri fandom supplied the rest, which is to say 15 million fanfic about every real and potential Yuri relationship among the senshi. And we went to anime cons and Usenet to talk about it, which is where we learned about the next big thing. So Sailor Moon wrapped up in 1997, and we were looking for a new thing to watch, and Clamp had just what we needed. They scooped up the fandom and the voice actors of Sailor Moon, shuffled them all around a little bit, added some very marketable items, and a little bit of Yuri and BL for good measure, and dealt us Card Captor Sakura. Folks came pouring into Yuri fandom with Tomoyo's name on their lips. This isn't the Yuriest story ever, but Tomoyo acted as torchbearer for best friend with a crush for a decade. Now I'm going to court a little criticism here because I think Clamp got a lot of unearned queer cred with this series. Yes, Tomoyo, and let's talk about that for a second. So Tomoyo's a super rich kid with her clueless best friend, and she's perfectly satisfied with that as long as Sakura is happy something something. But can we admit that that isn't really a great idea? I have this image of grown-up Tomoyo all alone in a high-rent, all-white apartment while watching 20-year-old videos of Sakura she took, drinking herself slowly to sleep every night. It's just not a healthy relationship, kid. And yes, Toyo and Yukiro are cute, but if this was a channel about boys' love, I would right now go into a 10-minute rant about how putting Clamp on the oh my god, this is the greatest thing ever list back in the day was not a great idea. It was very annoying, actually. But it's not, so we won't. Nonetheless, this is where we were for a little while. Over in Japan, a next big queer thing was actually happening, but this was before the days of instant streaming and very quick licensing of anime and manga, and so it was going to be about a year or two before we got it. But when we did get it, it was magical. We were all on Usenet, on forums, on listservs, on IRC. We read On America magazine. We were trading VHS tapes. We were tuned into fandom. So when Shoujo Kakume Utena, helmed by the same director who had given us a Haruka Michiru who acted like a married couple, was served, we were at the table, fork and knife in hand. This was a fandom that was hungry for something big. And boy howdy, did we get it.
私に眠るディオスの力よ。主に答えて今こそ示せ。世界を革命する力を。
Revolutionary Girl Utena had it all. Pretty boys, pretty girls, a tortured lesbian, manipulation and incest, and everything in a shiny symbolic package. Suddenly, Yuri conversation was too big for the general groups. We had a brand new girl prince for a new century, and this one, when the movie came out, got the girl. As we crossed over into the 21st century, folks were starting up groups where we could talk about this stuff without having to carve space for more general fandoms. The fanfic was epic, and I still know folks who watch anime waiting for something as significant a game changer as Revolutionary Girl Utena. And this brings us up to the dawn of the 21st century, so I'll stop here. These 6 anime weren't just gateways, they were bricks that we used to build the path into our Yuri garden, and they each brought with them a wave of fandom ready and willing to talk about the Yuri couples they love best. In part 2, we'll talk about the 2000s, and some series you may remember now as an, oh hey, yeah, I remember that, but they were huge gateway anime for Yuri fandom at the time. Please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. It's a huge help with the algorithm. If you like this video and want to see more, please consider becoming an Okazu patron. The link for that and the info on all the anime I mentioned in this video will be in the show notes. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Yuri Studio.